Okay, dear guests, dear colleagues, I am going to introduce to you, but I'd ask the OTT services, taking into account that not all participants are here specialists in communication. I'm going to make, better say, a simplified comparison. So I'm asking the specialists, don't think, please, that this is excessive information, because it is really important to some of our guests and participants who are not specialized in the sphere that we are going to speak about. Before the emergence of internet, before its creation in our lives, we had the owners of the networks had only two ways of making revenues, like say 10 minutes you spoke and then 5 drums per minute used. This could be compared with the automobile routes, that the owner of the automobile routes had its own fleet of buses, and only its own buses were moving through those roads, and no other buses were allowed to use those roads. And that was the main source of their revenues. With the emergence of internet, the owners of the networks started to provide their networks to other audio service providers, vocal service providers like Skype or Viber, and these companies started to provide the same services. If we are to compare with the automobile roads, then we would see that the roads became better, they were enhanced, but the small buses that belonged to the operators and which were already obsolete, then new cars came forward, Mercedes or other Fords, who started to move through those roads. But they don't pay anything to the owner of the road. They are using the road, and the owner of the network has nothing from it, actually. So it turns out that something interesting is happening. The more the operator enhances its own network, more others are using it. And the revenues of the operator are not changing. On the contrary, they are squeezing down. You now see this difficult situation. The operators would say it better. The more they improve their networks, others use it more, and the operators have no revenues in order to develop their networks. And these good buses that are today moving along our networks and moving megabytes of information and data, they are providing more better and still better services, because they are providing secrecy, privacy, the level of privacy and secrecy that the operator cannot provide. Like, for example, Viber allows you to code and cipher your traffic from A point to B point, and no other specific service is able today to, in a reasonable time, to decipher these codes. The operator makes investments, actually, as we see, but the revenues end up in a different pocket. So, who are these players? That is to say, who are those who are higher than the top of the network? These are the Skype, Viber, WhatsApp, Facebook, Google, as I said, who are providing vocal services, and the quality, as we see, is really very good. In many cases, it's even better than mobile service, cellular service quality. The other over-the-top service policies, which are far from us, but let's don't forget that there are really very important issues connected with the copyrights, with there is IPTV in Armenia, for which you need to have license, but there is also internet TV, for which no license is required. I am an operator. I am providing service from internet. I download this material, and there is no regulation local. This is also over-the-top service. There are very many issues connected here with the rights, with the author's rights, but let's not touch it. Maybe, most probably, we'll not touch them today. We'll speak about them in another time. Now, what are the main issues, the main questions? The main questions. What will happen if this situation will persist, if this situation will continue? That's to say, what should we do so as the operators will have enough, say, savings of revenues or for investments for developing the networks? What should we do so as our OTT services would not interfere in the development of our networks? Is it possible to provide some kind of collaboration between the OTT service providers and local networks? Look here, I have brought some figures, some very simple statistics. The figures may be not correct. The last figure says that in 2015 we were anticipating 5 billion users of the network, and this is the information, that is to say, from 8 billion of the global population, 5 billion is going to have cellular connection. Let's look at the number of smartphones. In 2019, we anticipate that there is going to be 2.6 billion smartphones. Let's remember, OTT services are possible only if you have smartphones. And we see the growth, constantly we see the growth. So everybody is this way or that way going to end up with using smartphones. This is the example of United States, which shows that in 2014, 64% of population had smartphones. That is to say, 64% is able to use OTT services. I have to say that currently in the United States, they have the approach that 2G networks are going to be dismantled. Only for vocal services, they think you don't need a network at all. This may of OTT and GSM operators. And, by the way, both sides are well aware of this, that in a while the GSM is going to come out of the market to give up. But this integration of the operators with OTT, this allows the operators, this gives them time out, gives them time to search for new ways out of the situation. And the only point for business growth for GSM operator is internet. Otherwise, GSM operators are not able to make money and have revenues, because, as it was said by our European colleagues, the users do not wish to talk by phones, having thousands of other possibilities. Now, in respect of the operators, collaboration of operators and social networks, this collaboration bears dual character, or better say dual advantage, both for the operator and the social network. The social network receives a possibility to provide its services to the global base of the operators. That is to say, when between social networks there is a competition, being partner with the operator, the social network has a possibility to have an advantage for the base of this operator. That is to say, if I'm not using WhatsApp, and if I know that WhatsApp somehow is there present at the operator's tariff plan. I will use WhatsApp. That is the benefit of WhatsApp. WhatsApp will never enter Armenia because Armenia is a very, very small market for it. That's why small countries like Armenia are using the global collaborations. Examples of such global collaborations are in Russia as well. These are the different MTS collaborations with different social networks. All big operators have this kind of agreements. What is the advantage of the operator? What does the operator gain? Evidently, the operator loses revenues because, and that's clear, because any company, any person working in the sphere of telecommunication, you know what does mean ARPU. This is the money that is received from one subscriber. It is going down because that call, if we look at the classic model, that money that is that the operator could earn through the telephone network does not reach to the operator because the user uses OTT service. But the question is, the user through GSM network has so many other opportunities and possibilities that this traffic, this world that way, doesn't go through GSM. The operator not simply loses GSM traffic, it simply allows the subscriber to stay as his own subscriber, attracting him somehow so as not to lose this particular subscriber. Another interesting information, several big social networks, Google, Facebook, have announced that by 2020 they are going to provide the whole globe, Earth, with internet. That is to say, in this case, the telecommunication operators are going to face a very, very difficult choice. I want to clarify here, I want to make a correction. That is to say, they are not going to launch some manned aircrafts and satellites that will cover the whole, that is to say, that they will cover the globe with new unmanned aircrafts that will provide. Okay, Anush, if we are going to megabytes, then the revenue that is received from megabytes is 5 or 10 times less than from minutes. Megabyte is that tarification which is not competitive in the market, and counting the megabyte revenue as a lost revenue in this current business model that exists in the global market in Armenia is not, how to say, convenient, expedient anymore, because megabyte tarification is moving out of the, it's pay per megabyte. That model is squeezed out of the global market. It is to be forgotten. And well, how do you see? Is it possible, we say, a regulator, to compare this with the banking sphere, where there is also a regulator, legislative regulator, unlike the telecommunication regulator, about which they say that it is anti-constitutional. Sometimes they even say so. The bank regulator is assigning refinancing percentage rate, interest rate. I think it is 7.5 interest rate in Armenia. They assign, they fix that lower threshold, the bottom threshold, lower which the bank should not give any loans for interest rates. Can our regulator say fix a threshold, a lower threshold, lower which the operators cannot go in selling their network? Well, this is also a matter of concern of antitrust commissions, and this is to be regulated by the anti-dumping laws, antitrust laws. If it will be proved that the operator, service provider is dumping the prices lower than the cost, then the regulator can enter And what's going to be the, how do you think, what's the logic? The central bank is fixing this lower interest rate. Well, central bank is doing it because they think that the financial system is to be stable and the banks are to provide as much capital that would allow them to keep the financial situation of the country stable. Well, our regulator also thinks that the telecommunication sphere is to develop. We have to pass to 4G, 5G. Well, you know, as the essence of telecommunication services is changing, the telecommunication network definition is also to be changed. I think sometimes later, this necessity for developing in the same technological style as it is going on will change. And the development of the network is also to be redefined, saying what do we mean when we say development of the network? Well, in connection with the limitations, actually, in our country there is partial limitation. Like, for example, Armenia from outside interconnection starts from 18 cents, which has brought to the situation that if we look at this long-term, 10, 20 years, there has been huge losses of budgetary means by technological market. And in that matter, we are on the same level as Azerbaijan, Belarus, and other countries. In US, this amount is zero. We have lost hundreds of thousands, $1 million because of this limitation. Before passing the floor to Thomas Mazoyan, I am asking our note taker that what Anush said, that the legislation needs change, needs modification, because our law about telecommunication was written in 2004. With your permission, I will clarify. I meant that the existing legislation is already regulating that situation, and changing it, I do not think is expedient. I misunderstood you. In 2005, our law on telecommunication entered into force, which was, however, written in the pre-internet era, where the main highlight was on the interconnection. In these conditions, as Bahram said, this 10 cents, that has been set, is exactly this interconnection tariff limitation right that the public services are using. However, at the same time, the same public services have forced the operators to make peering free of charge. That is to say, from one side we give megabytes free of charge, and from the other side sell minutes with the tariff decided for interconnect. Well, I do not think that we can compare the interconnect model with the collaboration idea of OTT and networks. I suggest we need to research this issue, and we need to think and understand this issue, because it is not unambiguous. Peering and the collaboration between OTT operators and social networks are not the same at all, by all means. So bringing the parallel between them, I think, needs some expert opinion. It needs research and additional study. Well, my idea is that when in 2005 the law entered into force, that law was regulating all relations which were not connected with Internet. For Internet, some sentences were included in there. First, that we do not know what is Internet. Second, that we are not regulating the IP numbers because we are not providing them, and nothing else is written there in the law about Internet, actually. So, now, as we see the growth of the smartphones, I showed in my presentation the growth of the 3G networks. Of course, these are all simply figures. It is very necessary to have that side of the telecommunication regulation to bring it over Internet. I don't mean content, not at all. Not at all. Simply the relations in financial field, in that direction, so as to be able to continue continue the development of networks from the revenues received from this telecommunication, which also is to be defined in the law. That is my personal opinion. Maybe there are other opinions as well. Like, leave the old law without any changes. Thomas, you as the representative of an operator having the biggest subscriber base, what can you say? So as by figures we would understand what's going on in Armenia. We know what is going on outside Armenia by figures. Moreover, your company is a public company, and I assume that this data is written somewhere. I want to say that being big means that also that our revenues that we lose are also big. The smaller you are, the impact on your loss is less. The smaller you are, you lose less. Well, if you want me to be open, frank, I should confess that we have already felt in the course of the recent years the loss that the OTT causes us. That's a difficult issue. That's tough, hard issue. What you said exactly, there is, and that's my opinion, there is no correct approach. Each company, each operator has its own approach, and we have to find our own approaches, each of us, because there is no even a tested model. Indeed, that is a dilemma, because from the other side, you are absolutely right that this is also an innovation after all. And from the operator's side, the operator should always provide the maximization of the revenue so as to keep the network on the right level, on the level it wants. And it means that every 2 years once we have to make very major investments. What's interesting that at the same time we are selling smartphones, and all the operators, our partner operators, we are selling data at the same time. That is to say, to some extent, we are kind of promoting the use of OTT by people. But from the other side, we say OTT are causing losses, and OTT is bad, and whatever. And that is the dilemma. So what to do? In my opinion, all mobile operators in the world have to pass through this process of transformation somehow. And the transformation could have different forms. Well, in OTT, concretely, could be very possibly some kind of model of partnership. Or maybe OTT and mobile operator will understand finally that they are adding each other. They are not substituting each other, but they are kind of adding each other, because OTT can't work without operator, and vice versa. But seems to me it's early to speak about this, because OTT are very confident. They don't feel that pressure. But to some point, when mobile operators will stop making these investments, and they will understand that there is going to be a big problem there. Okay, if the mobile operators will not develop their networks, means that OTT will not be able to develop. That's what you want to say? Oh, in some small region or in some location, yes. I think that this needs more time. But today's level of development of 3G networks allows to use OTT services, at least the local ones. This transfer has already taken place. Only if the number of smartphones will grow, and only if the number of subscribers will go, which means that we have to grow our capacities. And for growing capacities, it means that we are to make bigger investments. What if we don't do these investments? It means that it will impact negatively on the quality of the OTT. I again say, in short term, no, but in longer term, like 4 or 5 years, it will become more visible. That is, we have to find somehow a way for working together, and that form of collaboration is still in the process of discussion. There is no, that is to say, you are for the third model. Let's do nothing, let's see what happens. Most probably yes. Right now, I would say yes, but Sooner or later, we have to find the way out because, as I said, we do not see how are we going to work, how are we going to find this point for win-win situation that both parties will see the benefit, that it be bilaterally beneficial. From the mobile operators, they have more negative approach towards OTTs, and the OTTs say, well, I'm not dependent on operators. So I want to say that our relations have only started to develop, and we have only started to understand each other. I think that these relations are going to become wider and closer in the course of the coming years, and we are to find that point that will bring to win-win situation. That is so. We do not exclude that mobile operators will be paid by OTT services for renting the networks. This is a possibility. Yes, this is a possibility, but there might be other options as well. These options are yet to be developed. I suspected that Beeline is collaborating with WhatsApp exactly that way, because $3 is really very little for 1 month. We could assume that WhatsApp is the bigger Beeline, the Amsterdam Beeline, that WhatsApp is giving money to Beeline. He says only promote WhatsApp in Armenia, and for each subscriber, or I don't know, through other mechanism, going to pay you, because this way that way I'm making the money. Well, I am going to not answer to that question. That would be more correct if I don't answer to that question. Well, with all operators, these are, how to say, dual relations, mutual relations, and not always monetized. These relations are based on business interests. Each side, of course, has its own business interest, and not necessarily always these interests are monetized. I think Liana said that we have here a representative from Armental. Can we ask you your opinion? Because recently we were discussing this same issue. You are not included in the number of panelists because there has been no formal answer. Frankly, I would not like to discuss that issue. But in general terms, how would you evaluate the impact of OTT? Is it positive, negative, neutral? Well, from this viewpoint of operator, it is negative. From the point of view of innovation, of course, it is positive, as long as we all are looking towards more digitization. That's why we are not creating obstacles for the development of OTT. Of course, some solutions are to be found so as it would be convenient as for the operator, as for the OTT, because as my colleague said from Vivacell, we need money for developing our networks because the penetration grows. And now it is 35% of penetration of smartphones. 35, you say. In United States, it's 64. So here it is only 35. Well, but it is growing. By all means, because everybody sells smartphones, and that's the main. But 35 is a small figure. Indeed, it is small. Means we have a whole way to grow. Exactly. Maybe we have not yet felt the impact that painfully, but nevertheless, we understand. Thank you very much for the figure. Thank you very much for the information. Thomas, can you give any data? In 2013, you said, oh, in respect of 2013, you said that you have made 25 million investments, but for 10 millions your revenues have gone down. At least in percentage, could you say how are your revenues going down? If it's not a secret. Well, we always give this information to the Revenue Regulating Committee. It is not a secret, but I will tell you that we started to lose money at the end of 2013. Approximately, I would say 10 billion drams per year is our loss. The trend is still persisting, and it is growing. And you mean it is accelerating, like it is the loss is acquiring acceleration. That's what you want to say. Okay, Jura, the floor is yours. Կարծում եմ այս իրավիճակում, երբ օպերատորը փող է կորցնում, սա ստանդարտ իրավիճակ է մեր օրերում տիրող բոլոր օպերատորների համար։ Եվ ինչու՞։ Որովհետև սա է, այսինքն այսպես ասենք, սա ճանապարհ է, որը որ չի բերի որևէ բանի, չի հանգեցնի, այսինքն սա ելք չունեցող ճանապարհ է։ Օպերատորները չպետք է երևի թե պետք է փոխվեն ուրիշ տեխնոլոգիաների։ Մենք հիմա ասում ենք այդ հրաշալի բառը LTE, մեր քննարկումների ժամանակ հիշում ենք դրա մասին, GSM-ի պարադիգմից փոխվել LTE պարադիգմի։ Կարծում եմ, որ GSM միջավայրում OTT զարգացումը անհնար է, այնպես ինչպես մենք ենք պատկերացնում այդ գործընթացը, մեր պատկերացումով։ Եվ օպերատորները ասում են մենք փող ենք կորցնում եւ կկորցնեն, անշուշտ կկորցնեն ու ապագայում ոչինչ չեն ստանա, եթե իրենց շարունակեն պահել իրենց GSM ցանցերը։
3G coverage in Armenia. It's not a problem for us.
3G is not LTE.
Okay.
I say about absolute new platform for operators. Not UMTS, not CDMA, because in these technologies, the main service is voice. And the main revenue of operators depend from voice. The classic voice. And OTT for this voice is always an enemy. In this situation, OTT like unicorn, something from magic.
Thank you.
Maybe I mistake. I don't know. But, this is my opinion.
But there is no answer. In order to create LTE network, you have to invest money. But we hear that there is no enough money for implementation of LTE. 4G, we have example, MTC and UCOM now they have installed 4G networks. As I remember, Beeline as well, but it's a small islands in 3G world which we have.
You ask me that I don't say another magic word, Inam.
Okay, don't speak about it. It's too. Frederic, could you please tell us something?
Look, I'm really interesting. I found it fascinating to hear the conversation, especially when it was about the Armenian market. I'm not an expert here, but trust me, this conversation happens everywhere in the world. What is important, I believe, is that solutions are not the same depending on where you talk. You have made a very interesting comment, and that is that sometimes maybe the law might be a little bit revamped to take into account the internet, which sometimes is not the case in many countries. What I believe is a country or a local government needs to be clear on what are the objectives for the internet market and for the regulators. What are we trying to achieve? Competition, innovation, user protection, protecting shareholders' value of the telecom incumbent? I don't know. Depending on the objective that you may have, solution might differ. So this tension exists and always will until indeed there might be a moment where there will be a balance. What we need to keep in mind is how we need to continue protect the open internet in such an environment. I'd like to add something for our operators friends. Yes, there is a real challenge to the voice market from OTT. Is it good or is it bad? I believe that any challenge on the retail price of an operator is good. It forces operators to be innovative. Between you and I, operators use IP for a while when they're saying that they're not competing on the same platform. Everybody use IP, even telecoms operators. And operators might have a competitive advantage, and this is the proximity. They have boutiques or shops in cities. Mobile operators have this. They might know the behavior of consumers. They might use this more efficiently. But I'm not here to give any advice. What I mean is, yes, there are clear objectives, and solution will depend upon the objective that a government or a regulator has in mind. And there's also something we have not addressed here, which might be important, and those are public interest. So you remember the say that on the internet, a call is not a call. If you don't terminate on the numbering space, this is not a call. No, of course, WhatsApp or Skype can terminate on this new public open space, meaning what's happening in terms of public safety, privacy, emergency calls. So maybe there is also spaces for regulators to take this into account. Thank you.
Thank you. Call has definition, and also it will be very interesting to ask Thomas. There is a Skype out, Viber out. What is your opinion? Skype out, Viber out. Ով է այդ ծառայությունը, որ օպերատորներն են այդ ծառայությունը մատուցում Հայաստանում?
Providing these services in Armenia. That is to say, that is there an agreement with Skype that through Skype you get in touch with Vivacell, and Vivacell from its numbers calls out? Is there anybody provides that is providing Viber out service? Wouldn't say so. No, we do not have any direct agreement with them. This traffic comes from some intermediate carriers through some intermediate operators. Who are these others? Could you please tell us who are these others? Yeah, we also use these others, but I can't tell you more about them. Bahram, who are these others? Well, there are several categories. There are exchanges, minute exchanges. You can buy them from different countries. I don't want to speak about you. Through internet, it reached Yerevan. From Yerevan number, a call went to Yerevan number. It is legal. Same Vivacell, Armentel. It is the same story of the 18 cents. Meaning it's... So 18 cents is lost this way or that way. No, it's not lost. Meaning the call, as Fred said, has its definition. It must go reach, say, Y164 numbering domain, which is called call, phone call. If the call comes from one computer to another computer, which is not Y164 number series. That's not a call. The call starts when from Yerevan number, that computer, let's say Armenian number, they call to Armenian other number. Who is providing this, the Skype out? Most probably there is kind of a computer or server which is situated in Armenia and it has its owner. The Skype reaches there through internet, and then this server passes the calls from Armenia to Armenia. There are two different things. When they call from outside to Armenia, mainly Skype and Viber, we are using legal, no. But I think that all mobile operators, understanding the situation, are to undertake certain steps, or are already undertaking. Whether they will succeed or not, time will show. Thank you. One more comment. If there are people, experts, professionals in the audience audience, can we say that Skype, Viber, WhatsApp are infringing, are breaking the law on licensing by providing vocal services in Armenia? Partially, they do. Yes, partially they are breaking our law, but we have no leverages or tools against it. We know that our government is thinking about how to do that. Law is unable to act. Actually, it does not act because that law is indeed very old and obsolete. It can't, it is unable to act in this situation. The GSM and OTT relations for our country could be a challenge because the state, the certain services of state agencies, even services of strategic character, currently in certain or partial cases are based on GSM services. So that's going to be a challenge for the government. And the operators are clueless. They don't know what's going to happen from this confrontation in future. My partners understand, my colleagues know what this is 911 service, this is alarm, public alarm service, access to urgent situation alarm. What would be the impact on the further, let's say, interagency procedures, like 911 service? Thomas, how do you organize it? How is it organized, the 911? The location of the call is determined. Like if somebody calls 911, the location is to be called. Well, the 911 service is public. The public regulator has already regulated in 911 with all operators. The calls are decentralized by regions. So from each Mars, the call reaches the corresponding department and they serve it. So what's the question? The confrontation of OTT and GSM in near future, what impact might it have on 911 service? Operators do not imagine what's going to be in future. I want to understand if things will change, then these services, how they are going to be delivered. Well, if I were to be honest, well, we did not speak about it, that we did not say that we want to stop GSM. GSM is going to be there. It will be maintained. My personal opinion is that at least for the next 15 years, GSM will stay as a standard. And to make forecasts what's going to happen in 15 years for 9/11, it's really very difficult. I said that in the United States they are dismantling this GSM, 2G, exactly, 2G. We have here the model of Russia. If you look, you will see messenger for the bureaucrats. They try now to transfer the whole bureaucratic system to this messenger system, which is much more safer than the GSM. The April war showed that GSM can be broken very easily and calls in Yerevan can be overheard or bugged in Baku and these others. Russia being more conservative country in that, meaning to say only those who are to listen, they are able to listen. So, well, we are now out of time, dear colleagues. Last question. My name is Borosian Gevorg, Global Art Company. My company is the following. In the course of these processes, as far as I understand, the mobile operators subscribers through vocal services are going to pass to internet. If I'm understanding, if I'm right, the operators are becoming to be internet providers. Well, from the other side, the Internet of Things is developing more and more, and that's why subscribers of the operators are going to be even more than the actual number of population. Is there, however, a danger that in the result of all of this, the price of the internet that is provided by the cellular phone operators will go up? Is there a danger that the price of internet will raise? Because, okay, if the IoT will, that's it. That was the question. If IoT develops and the price of internet will grow up, that was the question. Exactly. My question is about the internet provided by the operator. Why do I ask? Because in the result of these processes, internet as a service provided by the operator is going to acquire a bigger volume, bigger size, becoming more important rather than the vocal services. Currently, for example, the volume of vocal services is going down and the volume of the internet services is growing. And the example was, that's why I brought the Internet of Things. I thought that maybe in the result of this, then the operators will decide to cover the lost revenues through raising the prices of internet. Is there a risk that the megabyte price for internet will grow? Well, that's a good question, but I can't answer to that question currently because it has more marketing content in it. But basing on what they say, economies of scale, I would say yes, our revenues are diminishing, decreasing, but if the Internet of Things, let's say per person, per capita, if we say when there are 5 SIM card services, it means that if we have 2 million subscribers, Vivacel has around 2 million subscribers, could be that actually we be able or we be asked for more than 10 million services per capita, which means that the price will stay the same or even it will be less. Maybe it's not that we raise the price, but we increase the quantity, but there is additional price for the additional services, so it might help us to keep our revenues. I want to say something which was not said here, but for the fact that they are using our system, our network. We are also serving telephone numbers for which we pass licensing, and without it, neither WhatsApp nor Viber won't be able to work. So this way or that way, that is in the cost of the operator, which is somehow to be compensated. Or maybe in future, Viber and WhatsApp will become virtual mobile operators, which also is quite possible. Today we do have virtual mobile operator, like figures that start with figure 6, they can act as mobile operators. From our real experience, today in Kazakhstan, as I said, with Kazakh Telecom, they also are mainly stationary operators. One of our use cases is that we change these numbers virtual, that is mobile. The difference, whether this is stationary, cable telephone or mobile telephone, it's no difference.
I want to stress only one because in telephony, with telephone number in the system of recommendation E164. But this same identificator in Viber is not in this identificator. Yes, it's two identificator like each other, yes? But it's different identificator. And how regulator can regulation another type identificator? I don't know.
Very interesting comparison. Thank you very much, everybody. Georg, I will add Thomas said 5 cards. Internet of Things assumes that each of us is going to have 70 IP numbers. They have counted all the watches, refrigerators, not 5, but 70. Thank you very much to all participants and speakers. Thank you. I hope everything has been protocolized.